Hello, welcome. I am so excited because today I'm going to be talking to you about angels and how you can learn about your angels and connect to your angels. This is something that has been very prominent in my life over the last little while. And, growing up, I didn't always believe in angels being something that I could connect so closely to. I always kind of pictured them being this far off thing that I was always told, there's angels watching over me. And I thought of this more in a metaphorical sense, I guess. But over the last few years, especially in high school, I started becoming more conscious of it. And I say high school, and I guess I was probably 15 at the time that I started realizing, no, like there's literal angels that are just as important as a physical person that is with me. Like that energy of that person is with me, and I've learned how I can learn about my angels, ask questions, and connect to them, and just seek their guidance in my life and what role they play. I think when I first learned about angels, I was like, oh, so they're like watching me do everything, like even when I'm on the toilet or like doing other stuff, But it's not it's not as creepy as that seems to be. So I'm going to kind of go over, my story with angels, and then I'm going to go over methods of how you can connect to them and enhance your experience with angels, and how they just how you can learn more about them and connect to them. So I'm going to share a bit about my story. So I grew up in a religious household, and the words angels are tossed around a lot, especially for me and with my Catholic background. And to me, it always felt like, this far off thing that I just couldn't grasp. It's almost like I believed it, or I wanted to believe in it, but I never felt that connection until I got a bit older. So, cool story. This is what really launched me into really connecting with my angels. So I was in high school, and I was friends with this girl, and I was hanging out with her spontaneously actually after school. So we hadn't planned to hang out. So I came over to her house, and somehow we started talking about spirits, and I talked about how I'm very open-minded about spirits. She was like, oh my gosh, you got to talk to my mom. So I talked to her and her mom was also like, they're both just like the sweetest people, and they were so cool. They're very open to sharing. For the sake of the story, I'm going to keep them anonymous because, I just feel like that's the best way to do this. But they were both very, very sweet. And I guess her mom, I don't even know what gifts to label her with because we didn't get into it too much, but she had the ability to see angels. And so here I was, I was pretty open-minded, but I definitely wasn't far along my spiritual path. I was still, I was open-minded, but I also had no idea what to expect. And anyway, so I got to talking with her mom. We talked about so many different things in life. And one of the things that came up was, I guess once she felt comfortable, she started talking to me about how I have angels with me. And I was like, oh, that's so cool. And basically, she told me about how there's like this older woman with me, and she was describing her so perfectly. She was like, she seems very like prim and proper, very much like she was saying that I was her girl, and she was kind of standing over me being like, this is my girl. And almost like, I don't know how to articulate it how she did, because this was also years ago, but she just described her to a T. I think she had like white curly hair, very like beautiful, like had herself together well. She kept doing this, something like, my girl, this is my girl, very ladylike. She went on to explain how she was with me, and how there was also a man who was with me, but the man was more there for her, and since she was there for me, they kind of came as a couple. And she went on to tell me about some things, like she was telling me, I think she like told me a time, and she was telling me, I think, like the time I was born. I honestly forget a lot of the smaller details. I remember her talking about, which later on ended up making sense, she talked about this toy my dad grew up playing with and stuff like that. And I was like, at the time, I didn't have anyone super close that had passed. And I just was like, these are really cool facts. And it almost felt like psychic to me. but I had no idea how all this added up. And then she kept saying her name's Anna, and I was like, okay, I don't know anyone with that name. She's like, it's spelled A-N-N-A, like Anna, but she keeps saying Anna. And she kept saying it like that, like Anna, Anna, and pronouncing it that way. She's like, making it very clear. She keeps making it very clear, this is how you pronounce it. And I was like, okay. And growing up, my Baba, which is my great-grandmother on my dad's side, passed a few days before I was born. So it was always kind of told to me that she's with me growing up, but I was kind of like, that's just like a nice thing to say, it's not literal. And I know her as Baba, so I didn't know much about her. And I actually have some crazy stories about that. I remember being a kid and telling my grandmother stories of setting the dining room table at her old house and describing this day to a T, and then my grandmother at the time being like, you weren't born then. How do you remember this? I remember that day. And so for a long time, I thought I was my Baba reincarnated, which could be a case because I feel like that's not outside my belief system. I'm pretty open-minded. And so for a long time, I was like, oh, maybe this is my past self in a sense. But then, so I went home that evening and I really believed everything this woman told me, and I just knew it. Like, it was almost like this is factual, like I know it, but also I was telling her when she was telling me, Anna, I have my Baba, she passed a few days before I was born. I was always told she's my angel. That could be your name, but I was like, what are the odds? Like, there's no way. And once again, this woman didn't know I was coming over. There's no reason, there's no way she researched it or something, or found out my lineages and found pictures of this woman for that matter, and was able to describe her to a T, and just these random facts. And so I came home, and my dad grew up in a very Catholic Christian household. And it was funny because when I was leaving this woman's house, she was like, Anna keeps saying that, if you're going to ask your parents about questions, be careful because they're not very open-minded to these things, which I was like, yeah, I know. So I had to ask my dad, I was like, what was Baba's name? And he's like, Anna. And I was like, stop this. It was really crazy. So yeah, it turns out that, yeah, her name was Anna, but I knew my Baba was Baba. Just mind-blowing stuff. And then, so that was when I was around 16. And then, so I kind of always knew. And at first, it kind of freaked me out, this idea of an angel watching over me all the time. But it's not like that. I had all these synchronicities happen in my life. I got older. I was really into rocks and crystals my whole life in a more geology sense. I got older, got more spiritual, got more into the spiritual side of crystals. And then from there, was in a rock and crystal shop and just so happened to pick up a Celtic tree deck, which I had no connection to. I just no interest in trees necessarily at the time. Wasn't very earthy at the time. I was living in a big city, but I was in this crystal store, and yeah, I picked up this deck. And I was like, I don't know why, but I have to get it. I don't know anything about decks, tarot, oracle, the difference between the two, nothing. And I picked it up, and then years after working with it, and it was still by far the most, literally just an extension of my energy. It is so important to me. That deck means so much to me. I've learned so much. One of the things I've learned through studying Celtic Oracle deck, and because it's based off of the Celtic Ohms, which are named after the trees. So it's basically Celtic ancient alphabet, and each letter is named after a tree, which is really, really cool. And it's named that way because the trees have all these medicines and so on and so forth. So a lot of the trees have to do with spirits. And one of the things I learned through these trees is that our angels will never interfere with our lives, but they are always guiding us and with us, but they won't interfere unless you invite them in. So if you ever want to work with an angel, just asking them to, inviting them into your space, and if you're seeking any sort of guidance or wisdom, or you want to connect with them, just saying, this is where I need guidance in my life, or this is my focus, and signs will present themselves. And like I said, the quote that was basically in this deck that I studied really strongly, and it's based off the Celtic tree alphabet, is that angels will never interfere with your free will. So you have to invite them into your space to allow them to guide you when you need very specific guidance, but they are always there with you along your journey. So fast forward years later, here I am, and I've had amazing experiences with angels. This has come through in many forms, and I'm going to go through the various forms in the ways that I found out about my angels. So first of all, I'm going to say I have 3 angels. So I have my Baba, which is my great-grandmother Anna, on my dad's side, and her husband, who is technically with her, but still does watch over me and still has formed a lot of like a connection and like love and care for me as well. But initially, like, he was just there to take care of her. And so she's like the first, like, very impactful angel with me. And then, so yeah, I have those 2. And then actually, which I found out this very recently, which meant so much to me, and just I was so filled with love to figure this out. But I found out recently that my grandmother, who only passed more recently, a couple years back, is another angel of mine, which I thought was so cool and amazing, because that's the side of the family that when I picked out that Celtic Tree Oracle deck, I didn't know I was Celtic, really. I was very aware of my dad's lineage, but I didn't really know my mom's. And then I ended up finding out, after like really being bonded with this deck and getting into earth magic and tree magic and all the Celtic amazing spiritual aspects of life, I ended up finding out that I was Celtic, and I was like, this makes sense. And I just feel like, you know, Celtic people have such a strong connection to the earth and the plants and just so much more. But anyways, so on my dad, yeah, so that's on my mom's side, is the Celtic side, and that's the grandmother that has passed a few years ago. And I'm going to go through the different methods that I found out about my grandparents, or I guess my angels. I'm going to go through the different methods I found out about my angels. So there's various ways you can connect with your angels. One is, like I already mentioned, if you have angels, just, you know, if you're ever needing guidance, inviting them in. So for example, say I'm stuck between 2 jobs and I say to my angels, like, please give me some guidance. I don't know what to do. And usually it will come to you almost like a thought. It kind of depends on the person. Sometimes it comes in signs, and sometimes it comes in like kind of like a download. It's not quite a thought, but you almost like hear the answer in your mind, and things kind of just seem, when you ask your angels for guidance and guidance comes through, the way I would visualize this is like your head's all clouded and you don't know what to do, and these clouds basically part, and then you just have the answer, and you're just like, you might not know why that's the answer, but it is the answer, and you kind of have to trust it with your whole heart. And then the other ways you can connect with your angels, as there are many, is, for me, because I'm a big crystal lover, crystals definitely help. So actually, I don't wear any jewelry. It's definitely not for me. But over the past few years, I've gotten into wearing crystal bracelets because I was gifted them so often. And actually, I've used this as a very intentional or intention-setting practice in my life, because basically what I'll do is I have, you know, like 10 crystal bracelets that I've been gifted over the years. And every single day, pretty much every single day, I will pick a crystal bracelet based off of what I feel like I need to either focus on or I need in my life. So this is the thing I always tell people about crystals, is I feel like people, you know, the more practical minded people will say, like, I don't get crystals. I'm wearing a lapis lazuli bracelet right here. So someone might be like, you know, how does lapis lazuli represent psychic protection? Even if you don't believe in the energy behind it, which is very valid and I'm going to get to, the fact that I say to you, like, hey, here's this crystal, this is what it looks like, and it provides you protection. If you even subconsciously think about that when you pick up that rock, or you see that rock, or you think about that rock, or you consciously are aware of that, you are now focusing and giving energy to that rock. So if you don't think that rock has energy, that's fine, but you are literally a living being. You are comprised of energy. So when you look at a rock and you say, this reminds me that of like protection, you are literally bringing that to your field of awareness, and you're bringing that energy to your space. And then to get into the other side of things, which is the actual physical proof of a lot of these keywords and messages that are associated with stones, is one of my favorite stones to talk about, is, in regards to explaining this well, is the Lithium Quartz. So I don't have it on me right now. It's in the other room. I'm not going to grab it. But Lithium Quartz is made of lithium. Lithium is something that if someone is diagnosed with being bipolar and they're taking medication, sometimes they will be taking lithium. And that's one of the more common medications that people will be taking. And so when I bring this crystal to you and I say this stone is for like balancing and regulating emotions and bringing more balance into your life, this is literal the physical, basically, I mean, I want to call it like anatomy of a stone. Like this is the physical parts. It's basically like instead of ingesting a medication, you are literally finding the natural sources of these medicines. So whether that's within plants or whether that's within crystals, it's valid. So that's why, for example, willow trees are known for helping cure headaches, because that's where like a part of their structure is literally where we get the medicine for helping heal our headaches. And that's not a coincidence. It's just a fact, you know what I mean? So there's two parts to crystals and using crystals intentionally. It's your focus and your energy that you're giving to it, what you think of when you associate with that literal miracle that comes from the earth and, you know, that structure. And then there's also, so there's the energy that you give it, and thus it comes back to you. It's like this reciprocal relationship. And then there's also the literal energy that it's comprised of. These crystals form in the earth. They form under different conditions. So thus, you know, different temperatures cause them to look and appear the way they are, varying from different colors, sizes, structures. There's just all the sciencey side of it. If crystals aren't earth magic, I don't really know what is. The fact that something literally has to grow under certain conditions and form a certain way in certain environments and different places of the world and different colors and just different sizes and variations and temperatures and conditions just blows my mind. It's just so miraculous. So anyways, as I give you this little intro into crystals, crystals can help you connect with your angels. So I have a few crystals here. So for example, as I was getting at, so every day I pick a crystal bracelet based off of what I need. So today I was focusing on protection. And especially psychic protections, because I do a lot of spiritual readings and guidance and healings for people. It's really important that I'm protected and I'm also protecting that person's space. So because I was doing readings and healings today, I wore this. And then this I wore because it's angelite. And angelite is literally angelite has a lot to do with like this sense of connecting to your angels, and the sense of that the angels bring to you, you know, like if your angels help guide you and feel calm, that gets amplified. So I have angelite here. I have on my, literally wearing it on me. So like bringing angels into my aura and like focusing on them as I go throughout my day. And I also have like a piece of angelite right here. So I have an actual stone. Here's a couple other crystals I have on me that really help you connect to your angels. So I have celestite, which is amazing for dream work and angels, which I'm actually going to get into for a second, because after I go through how you can connect to your angels through crystals, I'm going to get to how you can connect your angels through through dreams. And then I also have clear quartz, which is just one of the, you know, when you're starting a rock collection, there's a reason why a lot of people go for clear quartz and amethyst. They're two of the crystals that basically do everything. So this amplifies basically all of spiritual experiences and angels and clears, and just like makes an environment that feels safe and protected, and that you can really connect to your angels. And then also this is technically a clear quartz that's infused with magnesium and silver, I believe it is. It's actually literally called angel aura quartz. Angel phantom quartz is also a very, very strong indicator of angels. And it's funny because this is literally called angel aura quartz, which is literally what I picture an angel's aura looking like. It's this very translucent and like just rainbow energy. I have a deck that articulates this really well, but this is actually what I picture when I picture like dragonfly wings, is like this really beautiful color, and it's kind of see-through. And that's another way you can connect to angels, which we're going to get to. So I feel like I have some good prompts here. So you can connect to angels through crystals because it helps create a space where you can focus on them and feel like you have something, when you have something to focus on, things become a lot more clear and stuff comes into your energy field a lot easier. So if you're meditating, you keep crystals nearby, or you picture a crystal to focus on, and you can really start getting downloads about your angels, and you just start recording them, and you might get like imagery pictures, or you might get just intuitive downloads or keywords, and you just start writing and recording them, because the more you record this angel work you do, the more synchronicities you'll find, and it will kind of start painting a picture. Doing angel work is a lot like building this big puzzle. Is you have to get the pieces, and they're not all laid out before you. You have to get the pieces, and then you have to start putting them together, and then you'll start finding a lot of synchronicities, like, oh, this fits in here, and this was a part of this, and it starts really, really adding up. And then it also really confirms and helps you feel more solidified in connecting to your angels, because it's like you keep getting all these synchronicities, whether they be physical or spiritual, and they keep adding up, and you're like, this is just, there's no way this could just happen. It's too not coincidental for this to all add up. So crystals just give you a good way of focusing on something and clearing your mind and allowing that angel like lessons and healings or teachings to come into your energy field for you to learn about the angels, because everyone does have angels with them. How many, who they are, like in my case, I'm related to all my angels, but that's not the case for everyone. And I'm going to get to the other methods of how you can connect to your angels. So the first one I'm going to talk about is dreams, just inspired by my celestite here. So you can actually have dreams to connect with your angels. This is pretty rare. However, it does, depending on a lot of people are really gifted in their dream work. And so the people who do really work on their dreams and are really connected to their angels, a lot of times they will come through their dreams. And that to me is very, very special, because I feel like that's one of the closest things other than pendulums to get to a physical encounter with an angel, because you literally get to see them. So I've been doing a lot of dream work lately, and this isn't my specific angel, but it is technically an angel who does watch out over me, and along with many other people, but they aren't technically just like with me all the time, so you have angels that do look after you, and they are a part of your journey through life. But you also have your angels that are specifically like your angels, like they're watching over you. So I actually had a dream about an angel that wasn't the three angels that are specifically just with me and really look after me. Not to say that they don't go looking after other people. It just means that, these three people are really bonded, or these three angels are really bonded with me. I actually had a dream about a friend of mine who had passed away, and I've known him since I was really, really young. I grew up with him, and he passed away when I was in my last year of high school, and I got to see him in the dream, and I learned a lot about angels from that dream too. Not only did I get to see him, but in the dream I was talking with his closer friends from high school, because we didn't go to the same high school, and we went to the same middle school. And anyway, so I was hanging out with his friends, and in the dream we were all talking about him and recalling his memory. And it was funny, because it was almost like I was watching a recording of myself talking to these people and seeing him standing beside me and smiling and just being happy that we're all thinking about him. So anytime you think about an angel or you talk about them, they will be there, even if you can't see them. So in the dream, it was very, very clear that this is what happens, is like, there's basically someone there, and it's almost like if you're in touch with angels, you can see them, but no one else around you can. So in the dream, I wasn't aware of that he was actually standing there next to me, and I was talking about him and recalling his memory with our friends, and we were crying. And I woke up the next day and I cried, because I got to see him again. Like, I got to see how he stands and watches over people when they talk about him, and he does really care, and he's very loving and like watches out after everyone, which was very affirming to me. So dreams is one way. Another way you can connect with your angels, which I believe I was going to get at with one of these crystals as a prompt, by connecting to your animal medicine guides. So actually, we have a bunch of animals that are basically like angels to us, and we have different type of animal medicines in our lives. So we have animal guides that are just with us during a certain period of time or surrounding a certain situation. We have certain animal guides that are also with us constantly, and some people, not all people, have animal guides that are angels. And in my case, my animal guide that's my angel, associated with my angel, is the dragonfly. And this is where things get crazy. And like I said, I've done a lot of work around angels. And so I have this tattoo of this person lying in the grass, and there's mushrooms all around them and just really beautiful nature things. There's a butterfly and all this stuff. Anyways, I specifically had them put dragonfly on their chest because I wanted, this is supposed to represent like my highest self and how I feel as my highest self, just connected in nature and just very natural. And to me, dragonflies symbolize a lot surrounding angels for me. They always did remind me of angels, and I never really understood why. Then I realized it's because I grew up in my cottage, and my cottage has seen so much of me, the good, the bad, healing, relationships blossom, new love, falling out of love, friendships coming and going, just so many different things. And it's also where it was a family cottage where my grandmother, the one I mentioned past few years ago, grew up with me at, and she was always in her essence there too. And so, I've been seeing dragonflies a ton lately, and I did a reading, which goes into my next way of how you can communicate with your angels is through spiritual readings and card readings. And I found out that my angel animal guide is the dragonfly, and that made sense to me because I was like, I literally set the intention for that reading to like connect with my angels and get some clarity around some other things that were going on at the time, but mostly it was about my angels. And, I knew about this tattoo I had of mine. I'd been seeing dragonflies. I knew I associated dragonflies with my grandmother. And to have that come up in the reading when I had set the intentions to be around my angels was like, okay, yeah, this is like straight up confirming, because I knew I associate dragonfly with my grandmother who passed a few years ago. And actually the night before that, I had done a pendulum reading, which is another way you can connect with your angels. And that's a very physical thing. You can ask yes or no questions. And that's how I found out and confirmed that I do have 3 angels with me, their names, who they are. And the night before, I'd confirmed my grandmother was with me. And that was the first time I knew I had a 3rd angel. I had a sense, but I just didn't really know. So the next day was when I did the card reading. I was like, okay, this is confirmed. This is, I got the yes last night, but doing an animal reading and having that communicate my angel as an animal was so amazing. So yeah, if you feel like you see an animal a lot and you associate that animal with being an angel guide, not just an animal guide, but an angel animal guide, the odds are it is, and take that as a sign. Just as, numerology is a big thing. If you keep seeing repetitive numbers, looking up the sign and what they mean, just like I said, it's like a puzzle piece. It's like gathering a bunch of puzzle pieces and trying to form a puzzle. There's just so many ways you can connect to your angels. So I'm going to kind of go through like a speed round of all the ways you can connect to your angels, or just a few, all the ways that I've been naming so far. So number 1 is crystals, so that you can create a safer space and focus on them and allow for downloads, for you to get downloads and insights about your angels and how you can connect to them and learn about them. 2 is through dreams, like noting your dreams, jotting down your dreams, seeing if any symbolism comes through in your dreams. 3 is through animal medicine. So if you have, you can have animal guides with you at certain points, but I believe everyone has at least one animal guide that's specifically an angel guide in the form of an animal. So for me, it's the dragonfly, so your animal medicine, or animal guide. And then 4 is pendulums. So using a pendulum, determining what's a yes and what's a no, asking questions, because especially if you've already done this intuitive work, especially like with crystals, or just like sitting and lying there and allowing things to come to you, and you start jotting things down. Like I didn't just start from scratch. I was like, how many, I didn't not know anything about my angels. I had a feeling, so I kind of started asking questions based off of my feelings that I had been noticing, and in synchronicities I've been noticing, and the stuff I learned a few years back in high school, and everything just started adding up. It was amazing how specific it got. And although I do love pendulums, I think the other work is so necessary because we need, the pendulum's nice because it's a physical affirmation, but leaning into our intuition is so important. And that brings me into, I guess, like 4 or 5, like my 4th or 5th point, which is you are able to connect with your angels. These are all methods. However, you are able to literally like go into a meditative state and get information about your angels and jot it down. You will be able to tell, like, if you start doubting yourself, you're like, oh, well, like, maybe that was just like, something I'm making up. Like, if you set the intention and you feel like it's not thinking, you're in a pretty clear mind, it just came to you, odds are that's true. Because just like that woman did for me in high school, like, she was able to describe. She didn't use anything. She didn't have crystals. She didn't have cards, pendulums, nothing, and was able to tell me all that. And the thing is, we all have that ability. It just depends how much we are open to it, lean into it, and practice it, and just work with it. And then this brings me into another method, which is tarot or oracle cards or any form of deviation tool. You can pretty much connect and learn about your angels using any tool, but cards are one of the best ways you can learn about the messages and the teachings that the angels are trying to bring into your lives. So like I said, angels will never interfere with your free will. So you can sit there and say, okay, angels, like, I'm asking you for guidance in regards to my relationship with this person, and I invite you to help guide me through this deck. And so you would shuffle your deck, set your intentions, and then pull a card, and that would be a message from your angel. And then you can also do that to learn about who your angels are, but you can also do that to learn about the messages that they're trying to communicate to you. And like I said, there's tarot cards, and then the other thing is synchronicities, so like numerology and dreams and all these different puzzle pieces that you put together. And then the final thing I want to note, like I said, there's so many ways you can get information on your or learn and connect with your angels. The final way I want to say is through plant medicine. This is a very, very important and strong ways of especially gaining insight into your angels, and especially if they are in your lineage. I find this comes through even more, especially with things like cacao is a really, really strong plant medicine that, when done in ceremony, very much connects you to your angels, and you can get amazing downloads about not only your angels, but learning about yourself, your past lives, so much more. And I think sitting with which plant medicines feels best for you is really important. So let's say, some people like lavender can be an amazing way to connect with your angels. So if you make yourself lavender tea and just really sit with that intention, like clear your head, sip the tea, and see what comes to you. Like, all these different deviation tools can be used to learn about your angels and connect with them. You just have to be willing to sit and kind of find ways to focus and clear your mind and not put yourself down and say, oh, maybe I'm just making this up. Like, you will know when you're thinking something rather than having it be an intuitive thing that comes to you. Like I said, if you don't believe in the beginning, just try and be as patient and open-minded to yourself as possible, which is kind of a funny thing to say, but try not to take on any imposter syndrome. Like, start recording things. The pieces will start coming together. You'll start noticing repetitive numbers. It might come up in your dreams, tarot readings, animal readings. Oh my goodness, crystals, pendulums, like plant medicine, literally you name it. Everything is like puzzle pieces. They will all add up together over time, and it will be so clear that you will have zero doubt in your mind that your angels are with you all the time, and how supportive and loving and caring they are of you, and how they guide you, and how you can ask for guidance, and how you can learn about them, and learn about how you can, tune into what they have to say to you. And, you can get to a point where you're like that woman, or you're like myself, where, you just have no doubt in your mind, and it serves your life in such a purposeful way, and it feels so good for you, and so calming, so grounding. And I really, really encourage everyone to dive into their angels, because there's been quite a few spiritual practices that have really changed my life, but angels and dreams right now, I feel, are two of the most impactful recent spiritual developments in my life that have changed my life forever. And I feel like you can also not only change your life, but you can help change other people's lives. Hearing and knowing that your angels and having so much resonate with you just provides such a sense of clarity and grounding. And kind of beginning to understand that the way you see the world now isn't fixed to be that way. It is open to more information and endless possibilities and miracles coming your way. And just like years ago, you might have thought a certain way about the world and now you see it completely different. You have to know that we as humans will never, ever know everything. And we just have to trust our instincts and be open and connect to all these energies that play in our life and the angels and what we know we believe in and what we feel serves our best interests, our higher purpose, what provides us clarity in our lives, and how we can just follow and kind of keep walking down this path of life with our angels with us. So I hope this helps answer any questions. I know it was kind of all over the place because everything is just so interconnected within angels and angel work and connecting to them. So if anyone has any questions, let me know. I would love to answer anything, and I encourage you all to dive into connecting with your angels. And if you have any questions during your practices, let me know, and I would be happy to help. And I'm wishing you a great day or evening whenever you're listening to this.